Testing is over. The season starts in 2 weeks, and for the first time in over a decade, nobody, not the teams, not the drivers, not even the engineers, has any idea what's going to happen. The rules have been rewritten from scratch. The engines are new. The aerodynamics are new. Two brand new teams just joined the grid. And one of the sport's most iconic teams can barely finish a lap without something breaking. There are now 11 teams, 22 drivers, 5 engine manufacturers, and a pecking order that looks nothing like it did 12 months ago. The team that finished last in 2025 might be fighting for the top 5. The team that spent $500 million on a superstar designer might be fighting to avoid last. This is every 2026 Formula One team, ranked from worst to best, based on everything we learned from preseason testing in Bahrain. Number 11, Aston Martin, engine Honda. Drivers, Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll. This is the most painful story in the entire paddock. Aston Martin hired Adrian Newey, the greatest car designer in Formula One history. They have Fernando Alonso, a 2-time world champion who is still absurdly fast at 44 years old. They have Honda Power, a state-of-the-art factory, and Lawrence Stroll's billions behind them. On paper, this should be a front-running team. In reality, it was the worst team in testing. Not by a little, by a lot. In the second week of Bahrain, Aston Martin completed just 128 laps. That's less than half of what most teams managed. A battery-related issue on Thursday shut down Fernando Alonso's entire session. And on Friday, the final day of testing before Melbourne, Lance Stroll completed 6 laps. 6 out of a possible 160. The team's chief trackside officer admitted they haven't been able to complete all the usual tasks typical of winter testing. When asked about the performance gap, the number that kept coming up was 4 seconds. 4 seconds off the pace. In Formula One, that's the difference between fighting for the win and fighting to not be lapped. But the most telling detail? Before testing, Aston Martin talked about 2026 as the start of a golden era. By the end of testing, their PR team was telling journalists that 2026 was always expected to be a test year and that the real performance would come in 2027 and 2028. When the goalpost moved that fast, you know it's bad. 10. Cadillac. Engine, Ferrari. Drivers, Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas. Cadillac is the first new team to enter Formula One in more than a decade. This project started as Andretti's bid to join the grid, which was initially blocked, before being rebranded under General Motors' Cadillac banner and finally approved. Their Super Bowl ad was the first time an F1 team ever launched a livery during the biggest sporting event in America. Expectations were low. A brand new team building everything from scratch was never going to challenge for points in the first race. But what Cadillac achieved in testing surprised everyone. They completed 586 laps across both tests. Their fastest time, a 1-minute 35.290 from Valtteri Bottas, was about 3 seconds off the ultimate pace. That sounds like a lot, but for a team that didn't exist a year ago, it's remarkable. Perez and Bottas bring 16 Grand Prix victories between them. Neither is in their prime, but both know how to develop a car. Perez in particular understands what it's like to be at a team that needs to improve quickly. He did exactly that at Force India and Racing Point. The team ticked off every single target they set for testing. No major reliability failures, decent mileage. A car that turns, stops, and doesn't catch fire. For Cadillac, that's a win. Their actual goal for 2026 isn't to score points. It's to learn as much as possible before their own power unit arrives in 2029. Number 9, Williams, engine, Mercedes, drivers, Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon. Williams were the comeback story of 2025. They finished 5th in the championship, their best result in years, and lured Carlos Sainz from Ferrari on the promise that 2026 would be their breakthrough season. Team boss James Vowles had explicitly said he was fine with 2023, 2024, and 2025 being write-offs if 2026 delivered. It hasn't, not yet at least. Williams missed the Barcelona shakedown entirely because their car wasn't ready in time. When they finally got to Bahrain, The FW48 appeared to be overweight. Their best lap, a 1 minute 34.342 from Sainz, was solid but not spectacular. The mood in the garage, according to paddock sources, was a little deflated. The issue is weight. The 2026 minimum weight target of 768 kilograms is brutally low, and Williams hasn't been able to hit it. Every kilogram over that limit is performance lost in every single corner, every single lap, every single race. It's a problem that can be fixed, but not quickly. Sainz is one of the best drivers on the grid, and Albon is a consistent, intelligent racer. If the car loses weight and finds pace through the season, Williams could climb. But right now, the gamble Vowles made and the gamble Sainz took hasn't paid off. 8. Audi. Engine, Audi. Drivers, Nico Hülkenberg and Gabriel Bortoleto. The team formerly known as Sauber, and before that Alfa Romeo, enters 2026 as a full factory operation for the first time. Audi bought the team, rebranded it, brought in new leadership under Jonathan Wheatley, poached from Red Bull, and is building its own power unit from scratch. That last part is the key challenge. Audi is the only brand new engine manufacturer on the grid. Ferrari, Mercedes, Honda, and even Red Bull Ford have decades of combined experience with hybrid technology. Audi is starting from zero. In testing, the results were cautious but encouraging. Wheatley admitted the team is a little way away from where we'd ideally be, but emphasized the mileage achieved was hugely encouraging. Hülkenberg provides experience feedback, and Bortoleto says the 2024 Formula 2 champion is hungry and talented. The realistic goal for Audi is to be a solid midfield team by the end of the season. If the engine doesn't fail and the car develops well, breaking into the top 10 on a regular basis would be a genuine achievement for year one. 7. Racing Bulls. Engine, Red Bull Ford. Drivers, Liam Lawson and Arvid Lindblad. Racing Bulls is Red Bull's sister team. It exists to develop young drivers. And in 2026, it has the only true rookie on the entire grid, Arvid Lindblad, an 18-year-old British driver who skipped Formula 2 entirely after dominating Formula 3. Liam Lawson is the team leader. He was briefly promoted to Red Bull in 2025, then dropped back down after just 2 races. That stings, but Lawson is quick, aggressive, and has something to prove. The team runs the same Red Bull Ford power unit as the senior team, which is a significant advantage. It means any improvements Red Bull makes to the engine automatically filter down. In testing, Lawson said it was hard to know exactly where the team stood, but that they'd completed their run plan, which is the minimum requirement. The question is whether Lindblad can handle the jump. Going from Formula 3 to Formula 1 is enormous. He's the youngest driver on the grid and the least experienced by a wide margin. If he's as good as Red Bull thinks, this team finishes higher than 7th. If the pressure gets to him, it stays where it is. Number 6. Haas. Engine, Ferrari. Drivers, Esteban Ocon and Oliver Behrman. Haas has always been Formula 1's eternal underdog. The American team operates on the smallest budget, has the smallest staff, and has spent most of its existence finishing in the bottom third. But something changed. A technical partnership with Toyota, announced in late 2024, has given Haas access to resources and engineering talent it never had before. And in testing, the results showed. Haas completed 390 laps in the first week alone. Their reliability was excellent. Ocon and Behrman both looked comfortable with the new car. Behrman is a genuine talent. He earned his seat by stepping into a Ferrari as a last-minute replacement in 2024 and finishing 7th on his debut in Saudi Arabia at 18 years old. He's composed, fast, and doesn't make mistakes. Ocon is a proven race winner who brings experience and consistency. The paddock consensus is that Haas has done the best preparation of any midfield team. If there's a team primed to overperform its budget in 2026, this might be it. Number 5. Alpine. Engine, Mercedes. Drivers, Pierre Gasly and Franco Colapinto. This is the biggest transformation on the grid. In 2025, Alpine finished dead last. Rock bottom. They were slower than Haas, slower than Sauber, slower than everyone. The Renault engine, which Alpine had used in various forms since 1995, was uncompetitive, unreliable, and expensive. So Alpine made the most dramatic decision in their history. They killed their own engine program, shut it down entirely, switched to Mercedes power units and gearboxes, and poured every resource they had into designing a 2026 car instead of developing the 2025 one. The gamble appears to be paying off. In testing, Alpine was consistently the fastest midfield team. Pierre Gasly, who has essentially been carrying this team on his back for 2 years, finally has an engine that doesn't hold him back. The Mercedes power unit is the class of the field, and Alpine is one of 4 teams now running it. Franco Colapinto is the wild card. The Argentine nearly lost his seat before the season even started after a shaky 2025 as Duhan's replacement. He needs to step up immediately, or Alpine will have a driver problem to go with its engine solution. Going from last to fifth in one winter would be one of the most dramatic turnarounds in recent F1 history. But that's exactly what the data suggests. 4. Red Bull. Engine, Red Bull Ford. Drivers, Max Verstappen and Isaac Hadjar. For the first time since 2018, Red Bull is building its own engine. In partnership with Ford, the Red Bull Powertrains division has spent 3 years and hundreds of millions of dollars developing a power unit from a blank sheet of paper. Testing went, okay, not great, not terrible. Verstappen set the 3rd fastest time overall, 1.117 seconds behind Leclerc's Ferrari, and the team completed 714 laps across both tests. That's a decent total, but not spectacular. The concern is Verstappen himself, the 4-time world champion, has been publicly critical of the new regulations all winter. He called the cars anti-racing. He said they remind him of Formula E. And in testing, he appeared to be pushing hard without matching the pace of Ferrari or Mercedes. When the fastest driver in the world is visibly struggling, that tells you something about the car. Isaac Hadjar replaces Yuki Tsunoda as Verstappen's teammate. The Frenchman was impressive as a rookie in 2025 with Racing Bulls, but the pressure at Red Bull is unlike anything else in the sport. Every teammate Verstappen has had in recent years has been destroyed by the comparison. Hadjar will need to be exceptional just to survive. Red Bull will be fast. Red Bull always finds pace during the season, but starting 4th is not where they wanted to be, and the homegrown engine is a massive unknown. 3. McLaren. Engine, Mercedes. Drivers, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. The defending champions arrive in 2026 looking to do something McLaren hasn't done since 1990, win 3 consecutive Constructors' Championships. They have the reigning world champion in Norris, a lethal second driver in Piastri, and a Mercedes engine that appears to be the strongest on the grid. In testing, McLaren completed the most laps of any team, 817 across both Bahrain tests. That's not an accident. High mileage means the team understands its car better than anyone. Piastri's race simulation on Thursday was, on average, 0.1 seconds per lap faster than Verstappen's Red Bull when errors and pit stops were removed from the data. But McLaren knows it's not the fastest team right now. CEO Zak Brown predicted they'll be in the Big Four, but stopped short of claiming they'll lead it. Norris said the team was getting a little bit more optimistic, but added that they know where we're missing out. The advantage McLaren has is development speed. During the 2024 and 2025 seasons, no team upgraded their car faster or more effectively. If that continues in 2026, starting 3rd could become finishing 1st. Number 2, Ferrari. Engine, Ferrari. Drivers, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. Charles Leclerc set the fastest lap of the entire preseason, a 1-minute 31.992 on the final day of testing, almost a full second quicker than anyone else. The Tifosi are dreaming again, and this time there might be reasons to believe. Ferrari's innovations in testing turned heads across the paddock. The rotating rear wing, which spins 270 degrees until it's essentially upside down, is a solution nobody else has replicated. They also debuted an exhaust winglet that redirects hot air to create additional aerodynamic benefit. And in practice starts, the Ferrari launched like a rocket, thanks to a smaller turbo that spools faster than the competition. Then there's the driver lineup. Leclerc is in his prime, fast, committed, and desperate for a championship. Hamilton, at 41, is the most experienced driver in the history of the sport. He brings knowledge, calmness, and an obsessive drive to win that hasn't dimmed after 7 titles. But Ferrari wouldn't be Ferrari without a but. The team hasn't won a Constructors' Championship since 2008. They've been tipped as favorites before, in 2022, in 2023, in 2025, and every time something has gone wrong. Development stalls, strategy implodes, reliability vanishes. Team principal Fred Vasseur knows this. He said the team did pretty well in testing, but urged patience, adding that testing and racing are very different animals. Ferrari's greatest enemy has never been the competition. It's been themselves. Number 1, Mercedes. Engine, Mercedes. Drivers, George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. Mercedes completed more laps than any other team in preseason testing. Their car, the W17, was described by one observer as metronomic. It never looked spectacular. It never set the fastest time. It never did anything dramatic. It just worked. Lap after lap after lap. And that's exactly what makes them dangerous. Every team in the paddock, every single one, privately believes Mercedes is the favorite for the opening race in Melbourne. Not because of what they showed, but because of what they didn't show. Kimi Antonelli set their fastest time on day 5, a 1-minute 32.803, but that was 0.8 off Leclerc's ultimate pace. Except Mercedes wasn't pushing. Multiple sources say Mercedes has significant pace in hand, and the customer teams, McLaren, Alpine, and Williams, were reportedly not running the definitive power unit specification, meaning Mercedes kept the best version of the engine for themselves. George Russell is entering his 4th full season with Mercedes and is widely regarded as one of the 3 best drivers on the grid alongside Verstappen and Norris. He was exceptional in 2025, and with a competitive car beneath him, a championship challenge is expected. The wild card is Kimi Antonelli. At 19, the Italian prodigy replaced Lewis Hamilton, arguably the greatest driver of all time, and now must prove he belongs at the front. In testing, he caused one red flag when his car lost energy out of turn 10, but he also showed genuine pace and composure. If Antonelli can handle the pressure, Mercedes has the strongest overall package. 8 consecutive constructors' titles between 2014 and 2021. 2 years of struggle in the ground effect era. And now, with the rules reset, Mercedes appears to have done exactly what it always does. Outwork everyone when it matters most. 11 teams, 22 drivers, 5 engine manufacturers, and a set of regulations so new that even the teams building these cars are still learning how to drive them. Mercedes is the favorite, but Ferrari has the fastest lap. McLaren is the most prepared, but Red Bull has the fastest driver. Alpine went from last to the top of the midfield. Aston Martin went from billions in investment to barely completing a session. And Cadillac, a team that didn't exist 18 months ago, is already outperforming one of the oldest names in motorsport. The Australian Grand Prix is on March 8th in Melbourne. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And honestly, that's the best part. I'll see you there.